What's up, you guys? I'm Rachel DeMita, and welcome to the Courtside Club. I was this close to filming an episode last night at midnight because I was so fired up over what went down in the Phoenix Mercury versus Minnesota Lynx game last night. If you guys are on any sort of WNBA social media, I'm sure that you have seen all of the posts, all of the videos, all of the chaos that ensued in last night's game. And so there's so much to go over. I'm going to dive into all of this. At the end of this video, we'll talk about the Fever Aces series, but I honestly think that the stories coming out of this Lynx Mercury series are a little bit more important at this point in time. So I have a lot of thoughts on this. Let's jump right in. I want to start with the play that set off all of the chaos. Everything else that we will talk about, there is one play that set off all of it, and it is this steal that Alyssa Thomas made on Naphessa Collier. So this was at the end of the game. Fee is dribbling down, and Alyssa Thomas goes across her body, steals the ball, and then takes the ball full court for a layup on the other end, and that pretty much sealed the deal for the Phoenix Mercury. They won last night's game, but I want to show you guys the close-up. This was not ruled a foul, and I am dumbfounded by the amount of people online, even the amount of professionals online who are saying that this is no foul. And the reason that they're saying that it is no foul is, as you can see here, Alyssa Thomas reaches across, and when she reaches across, you can pause the video here, she gets all ball first. Okay? So no, was there any foul when she was tapping the ball away? No, it seems like there's no contact there. She strips the ball clean. But as you can see, the angle in which Alyssa Thomas is running across Fee. Fee's going this way. Alyssa Thomas is going this way. Fee is in full motion. You can even see, again, with this screenshot, the angle in which Fee's body is going. She is going full speed in one direction. She is running in one direction. And Alyssa Thomas cuts her off in that regard. The foul happens, in my opinion, after she tips the ball out. So she tips the ball out, and then as you can see, Fee's leg gets caught up. It's almost like wrapped around Alyssa Thomas's body. There is nowhere else that Fee could have gone. The reason this was not called a foul is because they said it's incidental contact after the play on the ball. With that explanation, incidental contact could also be, oh, you're going up for a shot, I go to block you, I block it clean, I don't touch your arm, I don't touch your body or anything, but then I knee you in the stomach after I block it. That's also incidental contact because I jumped off of one leg and then I decided to knee you in the stomach after I blocked your shot. Accidentally though, incidental. And that's the biggest problem that I have with all of this is so many people are fighting the fact that Alyssa Thomas, it didn't seem like she did it on purpose. It doesn't matter. If I hear one more person say, well, she didn't do it on purpose, it doesn't matter. For the most part, you guys, fouls across the board should never be on purpose. I don't care if Alyssa Thomas premeditated this foul 6 months ago or she accidentally did it and called Naphessa Collier after the game and apologized to her and told her that it was an accident. It doesn't matter when it comes to calling a foul. It truly doesn't matter. So I'm also tired of the like, well, it's not a dirty, but it doesn't matter. Naphessa Collier had nowhere to go. I don't know what the referees thought she could do when she is running full speed. Her leg is in motion and her leg gets caught on Alyssa Thomas's body because Alyssa Thomas is bullying her way through Naphessa Collier's line. Alyssa Thomas is also somebody, she's probably the strongest player in the league when it comes to just her size and the brick house that she is. She's not easily knocked over. People run into her and they fall down. And it's the same instance here. She's very strong. She can bulldoze her way through anyone. But it doesn't make it here that this is not a foul. With this same rationale, it was like, do you guys remember? We went over it in one of my last videos. Do you remember when Kelsey Mitchell went up for a shot? She got fouled. And then after she elbowed Asia, and they called a foul on Kelsey Mitchell for contact after the whistle. Kelsey Mitchell was in the air. I don't know what the refs expected for her to just levitate down to the ground. She didn't swing her elbow. She didn't anything. They're not going to call that incidental contact. That was contact after the whistle that Kelsey got a foul call. Like, I don't care if I'm on a lone island on this one and the whole world is against me and the whole world is telling me that I'm wrong. You are not going to sit here and tell me that plays like this are not going that are not going to be called fouls. There's no way. And if there's rules that are stopping plays like this from being called fouls, then they need to change. Naphessa Collier could have blown out her knee along with her ankle. I think it was only her ankle that was injured. Coach Cheryl Reeve said that she probably has a fracture, so we will find out. But I want to show you guys the kicker. The NBA referee's official account, they tweeted this. They said, "This is not a foul. Thomas legally gets to the ball and knocks the ball loose prior to any contact. The leg-to-leg contact is incidental once the ball is clearly loose. This was correctly judged in real time as a no call, as were the subsequent technical fouls." I'm floored by this. I'm floored that the NBA came out and publicly said this. Fee had nowhere to go. I'm sorry, her leg got cut off. She had nowhere to go. You cut off her line where she was running and she was the one with the ball. If I'm fighting with the NBA referees on this and they are the standard, there's just no way. And I guarantee you, say this person dribbling is the LeBron James. You really mean to tell me that the NBA referees, say switch LeBron James with Naphessa Collier, you mean to tell me that they also wouldn't call that a foul? There's no way. There's no way. Let that be a LeBron James. Let that be a Luka. Let that be a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Let that be Russell Westbrook got his leg taken out on a play like this. Let Steph Curry get hurt and fracture his ankle like Naphessa Collier did on a play like this, and you tell me that the league would call it incidental contact. I want to read you guys the incidental contact rule that's in the rule book, and I think it actually might prove my point as being right. It said the mere fact that contact occurs does not necessarily constitute a foul. Contact, which is incidental to an effort by a player to play an opponent, reach a loose ball, or perform normal defensive or offensive movements, should not be considered illegal. If, however, a player attempts to play an opponent from a position where they have no reasonable chance to perform without making contact with their opponent, have no reasonable chance to perform without making contact with their opponent, the responsibility is on the player in the position. Could Alyssa Thomas have stolen that ball without taking out Fee's leg? I'm not so sure. Seemed like she ran straight through her running stride. So we see that this happens, and then this was the reaction from Coach Cheryl Reeve. And I was watching this in real time. This is, again, you guys, this is at the very end of the game. And I literally tweeted, I was like, Cheryl Reeve just squared up with the referee. I have never seen her go as ballistic as she went last night. And here's the whole sequence here. Obviously, Alyssa Thomas makes the layup. Cheryl Reeve is just hunting down this ref, hunting him down. Satu Sabali is there saying T. Natisha Heidemann comes up and is holding her back. Other coaches are holding her back. Other coaches are also getting into it with this referee. It was absolute chaos. I haven't seen anything like this. I truly haven't seen anything like this. And Cheryl Reeve wasn't stopping there. She kept going. Like, there was a point in time, she's still, if the camera's going to pan back in a second. There's 4 players. Dejanay Carrington, shout out Dejanay. She's holding up a towel because she can see that Cheryl Reeves is cursing a lot. She doesn't want her to get in even more trouble. And then Cheryl Reeve was ejected for this. Like, I think she might have swung on a referee if she got close enough, which I'm not condoning this behavior. But I think, once again, a lot of us for this whole season felt like we were Cheryl Reeve in that moment because it has been a buildup. This reaction from Cheryl Reeve, I don't think it was just the one play and seeing your star player go down. I think it's a buildup of what happened the entire season. I think it's also a buildup and a spillover from what happened in the finals last season, because the referees in the finals last season were god awful. Okay, when she was also leaving, fans were saying stuff to her, but she's saying F you to the fans on her way out. You could just see how mad she was. And all of this also spilled over into the post-game presser. And I tweeted about this, you guys. Let me see how many views it has at this point. 657,000 views on my Twitter account. So I tweeted out the post-game presser video. And I'll play bits and pieces of it for you guys here.
And we talked about how dangerous it can be. You're hearing it from the other series. You're hearing other coaches. You're hearing Becky talk about when you let the physicality happen, people get hurt, there's fights, and this is the look that our league wants for some reason.
I'm going to stop it there. We haven't talked about it yet in a video, but Becky Hammon did call out the referees in one of her recent pressers, and she said that, she's coached in the NBA. If the referees let players get away with things in the NBA like they do in the W, there would be so excuse me, there would be so many fights. So that's what Cheryl Reeve is mentioning here. She said, this is the look that our league wants for some reason. And then she goes on to say that Naphessa Collier likely has a fracture. She went on to say that Naphessa Collier had 0 free throws in this game. And so she was going on and on about that. But this is the point of the presser that I also want you guys to hear.
But I want to call for a change of leadership at the league level when it comes to officiating. It's bad for the game. The officiating crew that we had tonight, for the leadership to deem those 3 people semifinals playoff worthy is fucking malpractice.
That was the biggest thing that I took away from this post-game presser. She calls for a change in leadership at the league level when it comes to officiating. And then she also said the referees that they chose for these semifinals is effing malpractice. And I also want to bring up, you guys, if you haven't seen the interview that I did with Scott Agnes, definitely check that out. But we talked about it with Scott, and he said he was also surprised by the referees that they put on game 2 of the Fever Aces series. So again, we're seeing a pattern here. We're seeing a pattern here that we have seen for the entire season. Players calling out referees, coaches calling out referees. Like we have seen the fights that happen on the court. We have seen the injuries. Now you have an MVP candidate, Naphessa Collier, who was right up there with A'ja Wilson. You have your second best player in the league going down with a contact injury. We have seen far too many contact injuries this season. And I also tweeted this last night, and I'm also going to stand by this. I said, Cathy needs to say something publicly after this. She cannot keep hiding behind meaningless fines and ignoring the chaos happening daily in her league. That was another thing we talked about. The WNBA does not publicly announce when they are fining people. And a lot of people are joking, oh, Cheryl Reeve is going to get so many fines for all of these things. I personally think that Cathy needs to make a bold stance against Cheryl Reeve for what she did. And I'm not saying, by the way, you guys, I actually love the reaction from Cheryl Reeve because this will hopefully prompt some sort of change. You are seeing somebody who has led the Lynx, who were the winningest team this season. You are seeing her crash all the way out and call out things from the top down. I personally think that Cathy should suspend Coach Cheryl Reeve. I think that she should publicly, she needs to come out and address this. It's Cathy's league. She has to be a leader, and she's being soft. Like, she's truly being soft. It's like if I was running a business and everybody at my business is complaining about the same thing. Everyone in my business is complaining about the same thing. And I'm hiding behind, well, guys, everybody in every workplace complains about those things. So, and that's what she said recently in a recent interview. And I want to show you guys this clip.
What steps is the league taking to ensure like the fair and consistent calls are being made throughout like these high stake playoff games?
Yeah, I think, Christina, I smiled when you started that question because I don't think it's just this year. I think every year, everybody complains about officiating, by the way, in every sport. So, but that means people care. They care so much. And we hear the concerns from the ecosystem in our league, whether it's fans, players, coaches. We take it seriously. We understand there's frustration. Our game is constantly evolving. We just talked about the speed, talent, and physicality, and we recognize that, as leagues change and rules change and players get bigger and stronger and faster, and officiating needs to change. So as our game evolves, we'll continue to work hard on officiating. We do have a thorough process. I didn't know this until I came into a league because I was one of those complaining about officiating in all sports before I became a commissioner, but thorough process to becoming an official, extensive training and education, but also the accountability on a nightly basis. Every single game, every single play, call or non-call, is reviewed. There's evaluations, so teams have the opportunity to provide feedback. So we're working as hard as we can to make sure we're getting consistent officiating, but I understand the frustrations and we hear them.
I can't get past that every time it comes up about officiating, she's like, well, every sport complains about officiating. It's something that's so glaring in the WNBA. And a lot of new fans who came into the WNBA are shocked by what goes on in these games. The level of physicality, the mantra of, oh, it's just a physical league. We've even heard players like Paige Beckers come out and essentially say, I started playing defense differently because I was able to get away with more. You're able to get away with more in the W. And that's the thing, you guys. I've never honestly blamed the players. They're doing what they're allowed to get away with. And Cathy hasn't made a firm stance on any of this. She says, as the game evolves, like we're hearing it, nothing's changing. I'm sorry, nothing's changing, and nothing's changing quick enough. I wish she would say, it's not good enough, and we're aware of that, and we're gonna make these changes. Like, please believe me when I tell you next year it's gonna be better, and we hear the concerns, we see the injuries. That's what you say. Or you don't think it's that big of a deal, and like the game's evolving, this and that. I just don't buy it. I don't think it's a way to be a strong leader. And I think the WNBA needs a strong leader at this point. There have been many of times. And again, if they do not come down hard on Coach Cheryl Reeve with all that she did, cursing out fans, trying to attack a referee, like having to be held back. Again, if you think it's warranted or not, if they don't come down hard on her and make a firm stance, again, it just shows weak leadership in the WNBA. Every single presser, somebody's talking about the referees. You had Naphessa Collier, who's in the WNBA PA, who's at the table with you in these CBA negotiations, wearing an unrivaled t-shirt during a WNBA sanctioned draft for WNBA All-Star. And you let her do it. And she's gonna do it because why wouldn't she promote her business that's making her a lot of money? And the commissioner is like, yeah, sure, go ahead. Wear the competitors league. And the reason that we're having trouble at the negotiating table, wear that t-shirt, promote that league while doing a WNBA sanctioned event. It's mind-boggling to me. That's not strong leadership. That's all I have to say about that. We've talked for a really long time. I will quickly give my 2 cents on the Fever Aces game. I unfortunately think that the Fever have run out of steam, and I think if they had any chance to win this series last night, basically the Aces handed the game to them on a silver platter, and the Indiana Fever popped the platter in the air over the backboard and was like, no, we don't want it. We'll take the L. Asia had a stinker through 3 quarters. She had 3 points through 3 quarters. She did not score again until the end of the third. You can't expect Asia to have another bad game in game 4. The girls look tired. Lexi is still battling this back injury that she has. Also, you guys, they have less than 48 hours to prepare for tomorrow's game. And so I was thinking if they had any energy, if they had any last fight, if they had the stamina to keep up with the Aces, they would have shown that in game 3 because they had an extra day to prepare for it. I just don't know. I just think they might be beat up. I think it might be the end of the road. I don't want to say that. You can never say never with this Fever team because they've been so resilient through it all. But I honestly, at this point in time, like I would be very content if they don't make it any further because they've given so much fight. And I don't think that this team can take another injury. Obviously, Dantas is still on the bench. Lexi's battling this back injury. She has less than 48 hours to get ready for the game tomorrow. It's not looking good for them, and I think that that's okay. And I think that's the point I want to make. I thought the Aces were a very beatable team, and I still believe that, but they're not a beatable team if the Fever aren't at full strength with the core that they have, with the remaining players that they have, and it just doesn't seem like they're at full strength. They didn't have the focus, they didn't have the fight in last game, and I thought if any of the games, the Aces played bad. The Aces played pretty bad too. So if you can't win when the Aces are playing like that, when Asia's playing like that, I'm just not so sure. Of course, I'm going to root for them in game 4. We'll see how it goes, but I'll be content. I'll still be like very proud of them for seeing how far they've come. And maybe it's just good to kind of save the rest of the team from injuries that could possibly happen because it looks like, you know, even with this series, I think Fee's done for the rest of the year with that injury. And so crossing my fingers that it's nothing too serious. I'm praying that nobody else gets hurt in all of this, but there's a 7-game series in the finals. And so bodies will be tested. With that, I've been rambling long enough. Of course, you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I apologize if this was a very long-winded video, but I had a lot of thoughts about this. It's just maddening. So that's all I've got. Thumbs up this video if you enjoyed it. Click that little subscribe button because we upload new videos every single week. And with that, I'll see you guys next time. Ooh, and